didn't change. Dude, you're so close to 10K. You gotta keep asking people. How's everybody doing? My name is Action Ben. Welcome back to a brand new vlog. Today, you're once again watching some of my highlights from the Garage Game Live. It was once again a game that I didn't expect to play. I was commentating for the first couple hours and had to step in. As you know, I'm the greatest stand-in of all time, so I had some good hands to show you guys. I've also been getting into tournaments lately. As I said in the last vlog, me and some of my friends went out to Turning Stone. I'm going to put some of those pictures up here. I actually ended up doing quite well in a couple of tournaments. I cashed in the mini main, although I did fire 3 bullets, so the main cash didn't technically make me money. And then I decided to play the Black Chip Bounty tournament, where I ended up making the final table. So World Series final table was a pretty cool thing to do. Not something that everyone gets to say, and had my shot at a ring. Didn't quite get there, but still took down a nice cash. Met some really cool people in Turning Stone, and was able to, you know, solidify some of my feelings about tournaments, which is why I will be going to Austin, Texas next month for the World Series of Poker Circuit Stop at TCH Austin. That's right, we're firing some more. I'm going to definitely play the Monster Stack and probably the PLO, and we're going to have a good time in Austin. My friend Dookie Betts and I will be filming some videos down there for sure. I didn't really film a whole lot at Turning Stone because I was just sort of having a good time and enjoying myself, but I will try to film a good bit going to Texas. Obviously a lot easier in a wider atmosphere. We're in the whole city, not just the Turning Stone Casino. And yeah, this is just going to be another highlights video. I'll go over some hands with you guys, go through my thought process, and hopefully you guys enjoy. If you're watching this on today, which is Wednesday, I will be playing again tomorrow, which is Thursday, April 2nd. Yeah, April 2nd. So April 2nd, 6 p.m. Eastern Time to 12 a.m. Eastern Time the next day. 6-hour stream. It's Gen Z versus Millennial Night. I'm representing Gen Zs, so come say hi in chat. And if you've gotten this far in the video, which is only about a minute or two, please drop a like and a comment, and I will see you guys in the outro. This is one of my very first hands that I played after sitting down. I looked down at pocket sixes. The $25 straddle is on, and I bump it up to $75. That's right, we're playing 1, 2, 5, 10, 25. So I guess in this hand, it's technically a 10-25 game, which is kind of ridiculous if you think about it. I really should just be playing 1-3. Anyways, two of my favorite people at the table, Credo and Dookie Betts, are going to both make the call, looking like they both have some very similar hands. These are the type of middling hands that I would put them on when they make this call, because both of these guys are very aggressive players, and I know they would 3-bet me pretty light pretty often. When we flop top set though, I immediately think this is a range check board. However, against these two specific players, I know they're going to connect pretty often with pair plus straight draws, maybe a straight themselves, so I want to start putting pressure onto those type of hands. If they have a straight, I want them to tell me, and if they have some sort of draw, I want them to put in a big raise. Dookie does exactly that with his open-ended straight draw, and he puts in a raise to 375. I'm obviously never folding. It's not the best spot in the world when you get raised flopping top set, but he still could have something like 5s, something like 4s, something like 5-3, something like 4-3. I'm really at this point putting him on a lot of draw heavy stuff. I think he's an aggressive enough player that knows how to raise draws like this, and I don't think he's one that I want to be folding sets to ever. When he checks over this turn, I really should have in my head realized he just turned some sort of showdown. I really just couldn't put him on Jack 7 in my head. Like I said, I was putting him on more pair plus straight draws in my head, so when I see him check the turn, I get a little confused. I know I have to bet my hand for value, and I want to size for the river jam on anything that's not a deuce or an 8. So I put out a bet of 450, allowing myself to be able to comfortably put all the money in on the river with about a 0.5 SPR. I think there's an argument for also just over bet jamming this turn, because I think a lot of his pair plus straight draws will get very curious and possibly be in a spot where they want to call specifically against me. Dookie's a guy that I have a lot of history with, so I think it's possible, but I think it also could just be an overplay. The Deuce of Diamonds turn river is not exactly the best one in the deck for me. The 3x gets there, and I snap check it back because I don't really think I can get a third street of value from it. I give him a little bit of a slow roll and take it down. I mean, hindsight is pretty 2020. I don't know how much 3x he's going to arrive at this river with, but I think him raising the flop is really indicative of 7x or 3x, so we're going to give him a little bit of a hump on the end, just to know that he's our good friend. Let me know what you guys think of this one in the comments. I think I could have jammed the river. I think it'd be a little thin. Obviously, we get snapped off by 3x, and a lot of that 7x that missed, even pair plus 7x, is just going to fold. I think I got a lot of the value out of that hand that I could have, so I'm pretty happy with the hand regardless. In this hand, we see Credo open up the 8 deuce offsuit. Obviously, this looks a little wide, and by a little wide, I mean super wide. He does have a truck. We are playing the bounty game, so he's incentivized to go for some more bounties. I'm going to find the ace-queen offsuit in the cutoff here and 3-bet it up to 75. This has sort of been my standard size of a 3-bet from the $20 open or the $25 straddle if I was opening. So I'm just sort of continuing that from here on out and hoping to stay pretty balanced. I don't know. I'm trying my best, guys. We all do a little table sweat. Credo tries to look at my hand. And Credo is a very strong player. So when I go for this range bet on an ace high board, which I think is always just going to be a range bet for me to 1/3, he's going to get a little tricky. He opts to go for the check raise up to 150, which immediately makes me a little nervous. I obviously can't fold a hand this strong this quickly, but he's a guy that could really have anything on this board. And although there's a truck in play, I'm obviously nervous off the bat because his check raises are usually extremely strong. He's a guy that likes to call down with some second pair, some third pair, some even fourth pair, but he's not usually a guy that's going to run a crazy bluff with absolutely zero equity. However, I guess when you open the 8 deuce off and you know you're not going to win the hand by calling down, it's probably a good time to start bluffing. He bets again on the turn, and now we're facing a $1,000 pot on the river. This is just ballooned very quickly. He's going to think about his options and probably realize he has enough showdown value here just in case I do have some sort of misdraw. Not really sure what misdraw that would be. But he does end up just checking it over to me. I'm going to snap check back once again. This is 2 hands in a row that I've snap checked back at showdown. I want to know what you guys think about this. Obviously, I do my thinking while he's in the process of checking, and I knew I was going to check the whole time. I don't know if I should really be waiting around and maybe Hollywooding for a second before I check, but let me know what you guys think about that in the comments below. In this hand, we're going to get in there with the Bald Eagle. This is a new player to the stream that I don't have any history with yet. His first stream was last week, so this is the second one he's been on, and he's a very, very action player. He gets in there with just about any 2, and I've sort of watched a good bit of him to try to understand how he plays, and credit to him, I still don't. He's a very interesting player and likes to give a lot of action. So when we get to this turn here with queen high and no backdoors, in my mind, I really just thought I was good. I don't really have any like commentary or interesting insight to this. All I can say is I was prepared to call about $100 to $150 bet on this river, just based on sort of timing tells and based on how he was acting. I just thought my queen high was good here. He does end up checking the nut low back to me, or over to me, I should say, and I pretty confidently flipped over queen high, sort of just knowing that I'm probably good most of the time he checks. He's obviously never checking an ace or an 8. I guess he could have a 3 or a 6 that he tried to bet for value on the turn. But I don't know. Something in my head just sort of thought queen high was going to be good there. I'd like to take this opportunity in between hands here as I go for my 3rd truck to tell you guys about the Left Pocket Bankroll app. If you haven't used it, I recommend downloading it ASAP. It has helped me a lot in tracking my win rate and tracking my sessions. I'd super recommend it. The guy that made it is also a super good friend of mine, and I'll be playing against him on stream on Thursday. So get in there. Let's have some fun. So in this hand, I can't show all the winners, right? We gotta lose sometimes. We have 2 trucks. Obviously, as I've told you guys before, the bounty game, win 3 trucks, 3 hands in a row, you get extra money from the whole table. You guys don't need to explain me to explain the bounty game to you. You guys watch all of the YouTubers that play the bounty game. I don't need to explain it every time. We actually flop a kind of interesting hand. We have a gutter to a 4 here. Obviously 5 high is never going to be good, but with a billion people in the hand, it's kind of a little too early to start betting. My plan going into this hand is to wait until somebody bets and then just go for a raise and barrel river. Obviously this is never going to work when Bald Eagle turns trips. Probably the last guy you want to turn trips. He will never be folding. Keith actually flopped top 2, unfortunately in the big blind, didn't get to bet or check raise on the flop. So when he bets and there's 2 callers, I go for the raise up to 150, probably a little small to accomplish what I want to accomplish. And this is proven by the fact that not 1, but 2, and all 3 players call. I think that a lot of the time I could get this through if only 1 player called. And Keith and Credo probably actually saved me from making a big bluff on the river. Obviously, I don't think 3x is super likely, but I'm definitely someone that can have it when I limp in with a couple trucks. I think if it was just Eagle calling and I was faced with a river bluff, I probably would have gone for it. But the fact that 3 people call my check raise, or my raise, excuse me, means I am absolutely giving up if I don't hit my 4. Eagle's going to turn over the King 3 offsuit and take down the pot. Nice hand to you, sir. I cannot wait to play more against you. Moving on to this hand, I will sort of just let you guys watch this one. There's not a whole lot that needs to be said. You'll see me limp aces here. This is because our friend Shay in the 5 seat has 2 fire trucks. He's extremely incentivized to go after the bounties, and when he gets a real hand like ace king, it's really just over for him. He opens to 75, and I know he's not really opening anything that isn't super strong because lots of people are not going to believe him. There's a lot of merit to limping, especially from early position for him. So I just ask for the triangle at this point. If you don't know, asking for the triangle means you're all in. The all in is a triangle. Yeah, so I just shove $4,000 in his face. When he pretty quickly snap calls, I assume we're just up against kings or queens. He does unfortunately have the worst of it with ace king. Offsuit at that point, he's drawing essentially dead. We are a 94% favorite to win this. I let him run it 2 times. Obviously, when you're way ahead, there's really no harm in running it 2 times. And for a good friend like Shay, I'll cater to whatever he wants. If he wanted to run it once, I would have said okay. We win the first board pretty easily. He actually flops a gutter, but doesn't end up getting there. He actually turned excuse me, on the second board, I turn a set when he flops a king, and I end up rivering the nut flush. We're going to scoop a $5,000 pot. All the money is sort of just getting pushed our way today. We haven't really had any tough spots to think about. The ace queen hand was a little tough, but everybody sort of checked rivers to me when I've had it, and not really made me put in any tough decisions. And then, you know, just getting aces all in versus ace king, so it's a pretty good time to be me. In this hand, we once again see the $25 straddle go on from the Bald Eagle. This guy, still absolutely a character, still having a super lot of fun with him. We look down at the pocket 5s. This is going to be another pocket pair for us, and we're once again going to bump it up to 75. I think at the cutoff, this is actually fine. I'm not really sure with 3 straddles on if pocket 5s is just a snap muck. Comment down below what you think, if you think pocket 5s are just a snap muck from the cutoff. Obviously, we're moving back a few spots with multiple straddles on, so I'm essentially opening pocket 5s from the low jack. I don't know. I'm really not too sure. Please let me know what you guys think. We got a couple callers, Newt in the small blind with the king, queen, O, and then Bald Eagle with another one of his interesting hands. We got the 10-4 suited. A flop of 8 deuce deuce. I actually think this board is going to be pretty bad for me. In that sense, I should probably just range check, but I'm sort of just putting this hand in the bucket of I'm going to be playing it against the Bald Eagle. I know Shay's pretty dead money when calling from the small blind, and when the deuce comes on the turn, I sort of just want to go for a 2-street game. I think I'm going to allow him to bluff on a lot of rivers with just complete air, and that is what ends up happening. He bets out for $100, and I don't really think about it long before calling. I have a full house. It's not hard, it's pretty hard to have a full house. I really only lose to a random 8 or queen at this point, and I don't really think he has many other bigger pocket pairs when played this way. Now we have one truck, and we see the $10 straddle go on once again. We're going to open a lot of hands when we have trucks, just because we want to push towards that bounty. So the ace-6 offsuit, while loose, I think is going to be not actually that bad in this situation with a truck. Unfortunately, Bald Eagle is going to pick up a real hand here in the king-jack suited, and he's going to make the raise. Obviously, this is the first sign of an issue for me. I think I kind of just like winners tilted through this one a bit. I was up a lot of money at this point. I was only in for 2,000, and as you can see, I'm sitting on almost 7,000. So when I see a 6 as the second pair on the flop, I kind of just think I'm always good against this player, which I should probably rethink because he hasn't really shown a super lot of aggression when in the straddles. Him 3-betting from the straddle should have been an indication that his hand was pretty strong, and then him betting out on the flop should have as well. However, when the second jack hits the turn, I think I pretty much have the best hand. It's obviously pretty hard for him to have a jack now, and when he checks it over to me, I definitely think I should go for value here. I'm definitely targeting some 3x, maybe some 5s, 4s, or just ace highs that have spade draws. Unfortunately, unbeknownst to me, I'm drawing dead, which is quite unfortunate. In this moment on this turn, I was actually going for value. Once he calls, I get a little nervous just because I don't think there's many draws he's going to want to stick around for. The spade draw is pretty obvious, but I think he might have just kept betting that on the turn, because any hand that I have containing a jack is probably just going to raise him on the flop, especially with a truck in hand. He's actually going to think about this for quite some time, which I hadn't actually seen him do with value very often. Obviously, I've seen these players play quite a bit when casting the stream, so I've picked up on some tendencies, and I thought a lot of the time I saw him tank like this, it was with some mediocre strength hands. So at this point, I actually intended on going for value on the river. I completely miss his blind check here, and when the 10 of clubs hits the river, I think about going for value, but then this happens, and I'll let you guys just watch.
Clubs, and I think Eagle's best chance of getting paid would be to come out and lead here. But before he does that, it looks like he is going to put on his Eagle mask.
Holy shit, dude!
Get out of here. Ben calling for the floor. He thinks that mask should be illegal. Sorry, Ben. All rules are off at the garage game.
Normally the floor would agree with you, but this is the exception.
I don't even know if you checked or not. I don't even know if I'm getting a read.
The option's still on Eagle. Not sure if he has eye holes in that mask. Would be interesting to see how this pans out if he didn't.
I don't know.
No, you gotta leave it on, dude.
Is it on?
Getting a little hot in there for Eagle, so he's gonna take it off. He still has a decision to make, so. Wow, he just checks it over and shows Ben the bad news.
So yeah, Bald Eagle, an absolute character, an absolute pleasure to play with. Makes the game very, very fun. Takes away from some of the serious atmosphere that we find ourselves in every once in a while. And I absolutely loved playing with you, Harry. Appreciate you if you're watching this. A nice hand to him. Obviously, trips are going to be good there. And just glad that I checked back because I wasn't really sure what was going on in that hand. In this hand, we are going to see CIA Keith open the action in the cutoff. Bald Eagle has a truck here, so he's obviously never folding with the pocket 10s. I'm actually somewhat surprised he didn't put in a 3-bet on the button here. I know his 3-bet range was pretty tight. He does a lot of flatting, which ends up with a lot of dead money in the middle, and also allows me to call pretty light in the straddle. I complete the action in the straddle with the 5-4 suited, which I think I'm probably defending most of the time anyways. It's a pretty good hand to go multi-way with, especially when we flop a pair and a straight draw. Me and Keith are both going to check it over. Obviously, this board doesn't hit Keith at all, so it makes sense. Bald Eagle's flop an overpair, so he bets 125 into the pot, and I make a pretty quick call. The turn's going to help me out immensely when we see the 7 of hearts roll off, and I check it back over to Eagle, who's going to just kind of pick up his random chips that he had. It's like $35 of reds and whites that he had left over, and I think that's not enough, so I'm going to bump it up to 225. I'm not exactly sure what range of his has that he calls pre-flop on the button, and then wants to call again on the flop when I go for a raise. Obviously, I never really put him on an overpair here, but I still have to go for value on this river. Obviously, it's extremely hard for me to range a guy like this who plays a lot of hands, but when he starts talking about how he doesn't like the 3 on the river, I knew I was good at this point. I wasn't really sure if he had something like 2 pair, maybe 5-6, maybe turn 6-7. But regardless, I knew I was good, and I think this size bet was just about the right size to get him to call. I announced straight, and of course we are good, and I'm excited to bring in another nice sized pot. In this hand, I'm going to take you guys straight to the flop of a double board PLO bomb pot. PLO has become one of my favorite games to play recently. It's just a lot of nut peddling when I play it. I don't go for anything too crazy. And speaking of nuts, we just flopped a stone cold nut straight on the top board, as well as trips on the bottom. So in a double board bomb pot, this is pretty strong. As you can see, I actually have 53% equity to scoop, which is extremely high against 7 other players. You don't really see equities this high in bomb pots. I just got pretty lucky, obviously. There's not really any skill to a bomb pot. It's going to check around the whole table all the way to me on the button, and I'm going to bet out for $200. Obviously, nobody really has much in this hand. As you can see, there is a lot of diamonds in people's hands, and not many clubs, which are really the only flush draw on an unpaired board. When I bet out for 200, it's going to fold over to my friend Taliana, who is going to make the call. She and I will be going heads up to the turn. As you can see, she has an open-ended straight draw on the top board and overpair on the bottom board. Both of these things can be good a lot of the time in PLO, especially because a lot of the time I won't be playing both boards. I got extremely lucky in this hand to flop a very strong hand on both boards. She has something that can play pretty well on both. So when I see the King of Hearts on top completing the heart draw, as well as an overcard to my 9s, and the 10 of diamonds on the turn, which makes my straight no longer the nut straight, I'm going to go straight into check mode. We're not even going to have the camera pan up before we go to the river, which is the 4 of diamonds on top and the ace of clubs on the bottom. I now lose to all the flushes on the bottom. I now lose to lots and lots of boats and flushes on the top. And obviously my straight is not even the nut straight anymore. Taliana obviously sniffed out something at this point when I checked back the turn, probably understanding that my straight gets counterfeit when I don't bet the turn. She bets out for the full pot of 600, and I just don't really think there's a point in me calling here. I think even if she has a hand like Queen Jack, there's a lot of times where she's going to have stuff like King 9, or King King with the King of Clubs, knowing she blocks the nut flush, or just having the nut flush herself, as well as having a boat on my board. There's not really a reason for me to call the chop up $375, so I just let it go. We obviously would have chopped, as we can see, but I liked my hand a lot stronger on the flops, and maybe if I had turned a little bit better on either board, I could have gone for a bet on the turn and then checked back the river, which would have gotten me safely to the end. But that's all I've got for you guys today. Hope you guys enjoyed watching these hands. I know I enjoyed playing them, and I will send you guys to the outro. Thank you guys so much for watching. Once again, tomorrow night, Garage Game Live, 6 p.m. Eastern Time, and at most Thursdays or Fridays at 6 p.m. Eastern. If you haven't already, go subscribe to the Garage Game YouTube. It's in the description. Come watch me play live. It's going to be a great time, and come interact and chat. Come drop a like. And once again, if you made it this far in the video, I appreciate you guys so much. Drop a like, drop a comment, and I will see you guys in the next one. Peace out.